people? Welcome to LFC Red Forever channel. So today I've got the regular guys, which is Ryan from For the Reds. Please subscribe to his channel, and I've got Harley as well. So we're getting them on right now. Welcome to LFC Red Forever channel. So we're going to be obviously previewing the Liverpool Wolverhampton versus Liverpool football game, which is going to go into in-depth preview of the game, and we'll discuss a lot of stuff about it as well, and plus FSG. And please put your thoughts on obviously the live chat, and ask us any questions that you want. So let me bring in my first guest, which is Ryan from For the Reds. What's going on, bro? You alright?
Hi mate, I'm okay. I hope you had a nice holiday. Come back to the absolute depths of hell, it seems, but it's all good. It's all good.
What's going on, Harley? You alright, brother?
Yes, Fozzie, how are we? As Ryan said, hope you enjoyed your holiday, and Liverpool Twitter isn't getting into your head too much.
You know how it is. That's life, innit? Everybody's passionate about something, and we just got to live and learn, innit, at the end of the day. So obviously we're going to be talking about, let's just start with Konate. Yes, so Konate is going to be out for 3 weeks, everyone. Liverpool have announced it the other day about that. He's got a hamstring injury. Is he going to be a big miss, Ryan, for the team?
I mean, I think there's no doubt about that. Realistically, if you were to pick our strongest side, it's Konate partnered with Van Dijk, isn't it? So to have them both out is a bit of a killer. But for me, Foz, the bigger worry is, How have we managed to go a season with 17 separate hamstring injuries? Like that to me, that is mental. Absolutely mental. I think someone did a research the other day, one of these like Twitter physiotherapists, and they said that it was you average 5 hamstring injuries a season, and we've had 17 separate hamstring injuries at some point. Obviously, that's players having like two in the space of a couple of months or whatever, but 17 hamstring injuries in a season that's only halfway through, it's worrying, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm worried about that stuff. Maybe it depends on how we work the players, isn't it? And we're forgetting we had the World Cup not so long ago, and the majority of the players come back straight to the team instead of taking a longer break, 2 to 3 weeks break. Ain't gonna help no one recover from a long World Cup, and a training camp at the same time as well. But what do you think, Harley, about the team at the moment?
Definitely, he's come out and said previously, hasn't he, Klopp, that he wasn't happy with the pre-season length. That wasn't in his control. But he wasn't happy with the pre-season. So I think on top of the other factors that you've mentioned, that's probably a reason. How the players have been overworked over the years is obvious. But Konate, in terms of him individually, that's a miss. That's absolutely a miss. I am a massive
100%.
I'm a massive Joel Matip advocate, and I have been for a long time. But based on his recent form, the quality of Konate, and just his constant development as a player, you probably are thinking, in the long term especially, that Konate is Virgil van Dijk's centre-half partner.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
And so it's a miss. And the fact that we don't have Van Dijk himself, they're both big misses, but Konate going out as well, it's not ideal, and hopefully
that's
you don't recover as quickly as possible.
Yeah, this is that injury list. Obviously, we Diaz, everybody knows about his injury. I think it's a ligament injury. It could be an ACL from what I've heard as well.
Thomas Partey absolutely smashed into him. To be fair to our medical department, that's one of them.
I had to look at it again, and it wasn't pretty, the actual challenge.
It's one of them. The best medical departments in the world couldn't stop that from happening, do you know what I mean?
And, he's very aggressive the way he plays, isn't it? So it's always going to happen, things like that to him. Firmino should be back soon from what I've heard. And
he's back in training, isn't he?
Yeah,
Even Virgil.
What do you guys think of Firmino, Harley? Do you think he's important at this stage of his career? Is he as important as before, or?
I think now he's at a point in his career where he's a squad player. But if Klopp wants to use a 4-2-3-1, I personally think him behind the striker would be massively important. I feel like if he was fit, we'd be playing 4-2-3-1 with him behind the striker a lot more. If we do plan on using Gakpo as a false nine in the long term, who better to learn off than Bobby Firmino? He's still a valuable squad player. He's put up great goals and assist stats for us this season. I am more than happy for him to get this extension, especially if it's on reduced terms.
You know, like a lot of people talk about the extension, Ryan. What do you think of the people that's against it? They're saying that he shouldn't get a contract. It's a short-term contract anyway. It's not like a 4 years contract or anything like that.
I think it's 2 or 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years with an option for a third, wasn't it? So it's not like it's a Chelsea Football Club kind of contract that you're signing, but I get it. I get why people might be against it. Probably the same reasons why they're against the likes of Henderson having deals and James Milner having deals and Keita having deals in the sense of availability. So I slightly get that. However, it's hard for me because I have that sentimental attachment to Bobby. So I can't turn around and go like, oh yeah, I agree. I mean, the football coach / manager side of me thinks it's a little bit of a 50-50 again because of that availability for someone who'd be on around about that 120, 130 grand mark after reduced terms. And obviously you now have a small sell-on value with it. So even if you signed him up for a 3-year deal and was like, right, after the year, we're going to move you on, Bundesliga team comes and pays 6, 7, 8 million pound for him, then obviously there's a sell-on value, which if it's FSG involved, then that's important. But I think Harley alluded to it a while back that if you've got Qatari owners and money's no object, then why not put the likes of Bobby Firmino and Naby Keita and stuff like that on new deals if it doesn't mean anything to us?
That's how I feel massively about Keita in particular. But for me, regardless of who the owners are, I think, especially on reduced terms, Firmino for 2-3 years, not a bad shout. Do you know what I mean? He's maybe not the pressing monster he once was, but he's still got clear technical qualities. He's still clearly a really good footballer, do you know what I mean? And he's probably very important for the dressing room as well.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Harley. Don't you think like if like players are coming in to play this Klopp system, because Klopp ain't gonna change from that system. Let's be honest, guys. I mean, he hasn't got technical players as he had at Dortmund. You know what I mean? Back in the day, because it depends on the league, innit? It depends on what league you're playing in. At the end of the day, the Premier League is high intense football. Like you have to be like athletic in order for you to last in this league, and this is why he plays the 4-3-3 system. A lot of people say like he doesn't know how to play with technical players. I said, if you look at the Dortmund teams he had in the past with Kagawa, with Mkhitaryan, with Götze, with Shaheen, and all those players are technical players. So I don't know where people come from. Like he can't work with technical players, guys. So it's a bit weird. But I said it depends on the league, innit? It depends on the league. Like this league, you need athletes. This is why he needs those type of players. But if you have a mixture of those players, maybe it could be different. Like people will see us differently. You know what I mean? To the regular 4-3-3, like the hard working, running yourself to the ground, and then like a few years later, you're not the same player anymore. If we can mix it, what do you think, Ryan? If we can mix it up and see where we go from there, like in the future?
I definitely think there's parts of it. I did a video on my YouTube channel like last week where I was talking about what I think our summer 2023 window will be like. I personally think Klopp wants to angle for the 4-2-3-1/4-2-4 a bit more. And I agree with you, Foz. It all depends on your league requirements. Like you have to be extremely fit to play in the Premier League compared to the other leagues, and that's just due to the intensity of every single game, and obviously the requirements that a lot of the managers put on you. Yeah. However, I'm starting to see a slight change of influence for the players that we sign, whether that's from Linders or recruitment team or Klopp, whoever it is. Your likes of Harvey Elliott being signed and coming through, your likes of Fabio Carvalho, Curtis Jones sticking around. They're not players that you'd call typical Klopp players, are they really? However, the typical Klopp player might be changing, like you say, over the next couple of years for us to look different.
You have to evolve in football, don't you?
What was
Yeah.
it? 1 second. Alice says gonna be watching this whilst aggressively stickering footwear. You know who that is, Harley. And Alice actually
Well,
gave
who?
a message.
Who? I've never heard of this.
And Joe says yes, mate. Joe says to have VVD and Konate is a worry.
Yeah.
Gomez, who else at the back? I think Matip's still fit in it, guys. I think Matip.
Yeah, Matip's still fit. But the thing is, both of them two are only ever a moment away from an injury, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And then before you know it, we're in the Nat Phillips Williams situation again, which isn't ideal. I mean, they pulled through for us last time, so fair fuck to them. But
yeah, they say Jota it's not far away. He's a few weeks away. What do you guys?
That's what we like to do.
How you rate him, Harley? Diogo Jota.
I think having him back will be massive, mate. It'll be massive. He's not only in terms of pressing from the front, but just pure quality. He's such a two-footed, versatile player. Like, you can probably play him anywhere across the front three. If you're playing a 4-2-3-1, you can play him behind the striker. I personally like him most either off the left or in that kind of Firmino-ish role. But no matter where he's playing on the pitch for us, he's going to be massive. And I just think, like, especially with Diaz out, yeah, he's someone we need, I think. And I rate him highly. I always have done, even when he was at Wolves, and I'm just so much looking forward to having him back, really.
What do you prefer him, like? Because he could play like mate, I was impressed with him at that number 10 position when he played there recently, like before the injuries, of course. He could play as a number 9, and he could play obviously from the left and right side. Like, what do you prefer him, Harley? Exactly, like, where does he make the most impact?
I think if we're basing it off his performances last season, you're probably saying you're like most through the middle, and that's where I'd say he's best, because he can 1v1 dribble, but he hasn't showed it as much last season. Whereas I feel as though him through the middle, his goal scoring and his general ability to bring others into play, that's where he thrives the most. But I'm not opposed to having him anywhere across the front three or even behind the strikers, to be honest. He's just an all-round brilliant footballer, but I think through the middle is probably his best position, or has been in his time at Liverpool anyway.
Well, same goes for you, Ryan. What do you think of Jota, man?
I mean, I'm a massive fan, because there's one thing that you can't guarantee in football, and that's goals. It's so hard to guarantee goals. You've heard it from the 80s, 90s, noughties. Managers will pay their left bollock just for a lad who can put the ball in the back of the net, and Diogo Jota is that. I'm on that side of, personally, I think we'd only be about 3 to 4 points off top 4 if we'd have had Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz fit from their injuries up until now. Because again, it's so hard to replace goals. And I think none of us have seen how he's going to link up with Nunes yet. I feel like there could be a really, really, really good partnership, whether that's Nunes off the left or down the middle. You've got two players there who are similar in the sense of decent with pace, not necessarily what you'd call the best technical dribblers or technical sort of like in between the line players. However, they've sort of got that Suarez about them where they sort of like, they move with the ball, and the ball bounces off opponents. They pick up on the seconds. It's like industrious continuation of what they want to do. Like, I've got the ball, I'm getting at you. I've got the ball, I'm getting at you. So for me, it'd be great to have that back, and you also have to take into the account that the games are going to start coming thick and fast again. And if we don't have that rotation, if we don't have players back, you are looking at stretching Nunes, Salah, Gakpo, quite thin when you've got the likes of then Fabio Carvalho, who's not played for yonks, and Harvey Elliott as the rotation. So just having a bit of quality in the squad, it'd be nice to have that back.
100%. We'll move on to Arthur Melo. He's still at
my favourite subject.
Obviously, he had this injury, long-term injury. He could be coming back soon as well. What do you guys think of him, like, as a player? Because I don't know much about him. I don't watch obviously Italian football. I haven't watched Spanish football for a few years since they take it away, obviously, from British broadcasting. what do you guys think of him? Because a lot of people downgrade him like as a player, but if you play for the likes of Barcelona and Juventus, sure you're not a bad player, Ryan. Surely.
No, and I think Lionel Messi said he's one of the closest players he's seen to Xavi, hasn't he? I mean, obviously that's some high praise.
Xavi's actually said as well, Arthur could define an era at Barcelona.
Yeah.
I remember he's from a very, very smart man as well.
I remember when they signed him, because if you remember, when Barcelona signed him, we were actually loosely linked with him when he was at, was it Gremio? Gremio.
I think, yeah,
Gremio. Yeah, when he was at Gremio. And I remember watching, after we got linked, I remember watching a little bit of him, a few live games, watched obviously a few YouTube clips, and thought, he's a bit tasty, this lad. Mm-hmm. And then obviously he went to Barcelona. And I remember thinking at the time when that Juventus deal happened, being like, what the hell's going on here? Like, how have Juve pulled that off? Two, why on earth have Barcelona swapped him for Pjanic? And now, obviously, all this stuff's come out about Juventus and obviously all their dodgy dealings. So we know why it's happened now. It weren't a footballing decision. It was clearly a financial decision from both sets of clubs. Mm-hmm. So, it's one of them. I don't think he's going to work out at Liverpool Football Club because of the injuries. He's never really had the chance. However, with Juventus' situation now, he's probably going to get the opportunity to get out of Juve next season on the cheap. So hopefully, fingers crossed for him, he can get a decent team in Europe, and he can start to try and get his career back on track. 'Cause he's only 26. Yeah, it's not like the lad's 30.
I think people forget how young he is because he's been around for so long.
Yeah.
And like I say, I don't think it'll work out at Liverpool. I think, unfortunately, just time isn't on his side because of the injury. However, fingers crossed, like I said, he gets a cheap move out of Juventus. They can get a little bit of money back, and he can go and try and revitalise his career in Europe somewhere.
Yeah. What do you think of him, Harley, as a player, mate?
I think he's a fantastic footballer, first and foremost. I have been watching him since he was at Barcelona. And if you would have told me about when he was playing for Barcelona that Arthur Melo would be playing for Liverpool Football Club at the age of 26, I'd have ripped my bollocks off for it. He's genuinely, in terms of pure footballing ability, he's fantastic. I feel as though if he could stay fit, and I know this is a big if, he could genuinely have a similar impact to a Nat Phillips. How Nat Phillips had for us in that 2021 season. His ability to... A big struggle at Liverpool this season has been not only keeping the ball but in midfield, but resisting press. He's so press resistant. His pass accuracy stats, I'm not usually one to lean on stats, but 90.1%. I think it's 90.1. Something mad like that anyway. It's in the 90s, his pass accuracy. I know that's not everything and context needs to be applied, but I don't think his progressive pass numbers are horrible, even though he's got a bit of a reputation for being a side passer. Yeah. But I look at this Liverpool team and I think a side passer is what we need. Someone who can resist press and just fucking keep it simple. Yeah, we're all right, but overall, he's a fantastic footballer. But whether he'll have enough time to A, get fit, B, get up to speed, and C, whether luck will be on the lad's side, we'll have to see. But I think he could make a much bigger difference than people think. And to be honest, I'm a little bit gutted he's been left out of the European Cup squad.
Yeah, could only be 2 games though, couldn't it? So I get why the...
Oh, don't say that, lad.
Joe says, I think we're really missing Luis Diaz. I think we're missing him, but we've got to cope somehow, some way. Has he, this season, has Luis Diaz made an impact compared to when he arrived at Liverpool? Do you guys
early on? I think he did, didn't he? He scored that belter against Crystal Palace. I don't think it was first game of the season when we were a man down because he decided to fucking headbutt someone. Legend. Love Darwin, but anyway, we were 1-0 down and 10 men, and he just scores the belter, and he has that in him to just score a belter from nowhere. Napoli, I believe he done another one, didn't we? We were getting battered, and he just pulled something out of his ass, and I feel like that ability to just pull something out of nowhere, and his dribbling ability, and his just what he has about him, his pressing, everything he's got about him would add to our team at the minute. He's a fantastic player.
Yeah, we do miss him, 100%.
I thought he was on his way to a Suarez 12-13-esque season. You know, remember the season when it was him and Gareth Bale going for the Golden Boot kind of thing, and they were both at it. Because he was starting to, like Harley says, produce those moments out of nowhere. But his overall game was so good. Like I remember Bournemouth at home when he scored the 2 headers. Like people forget about how relentless he was during that performance. You know, constantly on the ball, constantly driving. He looked like he was starting to develop a better relationship with Robertson as well, which obviously had been an issue. And that looked like it was starting to solve itself, because obviously it will naturally as you play more minutes with a teammate, you're going to get to know them better. So it's a shame, because the Arsenal game as well, up until the injury, he was probably the best player on the pitch. He was absolutely dominating them. Gets the assist obviously for Darwin. He was moving all over the line. It weren't just even the left wing. Like he popped up on the right wing to get the assist for Darwin. Like he was starting to become what you'd expect from a Liverpool front forward. You know, flexible, good relationships across the pitch, dangerous around the box, really, really high levels of 1v1 ability. And it just felt like, to me, we were going to finally have that, right, you know, he's arrived now. Like, he was good. The first 6 months when he signed him, he was good. And we all thought, fucking hell, we've got some player on our hands here. But for me, the start of this season really felt like, yeah, you know, he's arrived now. Like, this is his season. No one's taking that left wing spot off him. I mean, the effort against Fulham when he hits when he hit the post on the opening day, that was lovely. When he hits the post against Everton, you know, he was having such good moments, and then to have him out for 6 months, it's scary what he might actually come back like. Hopefully, it doesn't affect.
You know what's sad, Ryan? You know that Arsenal game. If he stayed on the pitch, we don't know what it might have been. We don't know. You know, we was playing so good when he was on the pitch. We could have probably won that game if he stayed on. You know, because he was.
No one can convince me, by the way, that we weren't robbed in that game. I swear they were offside.
Oh yeah.
Come on, they want challenges for the league, innit? They don't want like a league that what team's gonna run away with it. You know what I mean?
Like I'm not based it against Arsenal, and to be honest, I hope they win the league. Do you know what I mean? I don't mind them. Probably because I don't actually know any Arsenal fans personally, and I don't mind the current squad of players or anything like that. I'd love them to win it over City, but we had our pants pulled down a little bit there, like. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone's bringing up the Matheus Nunes offside decision in the FA Cup, but I didn't hear anyone talking about this going against us in that Arsenal game.
Handball,
or the fact that Thomas Partey decided
even the Saka goal was offside. People.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That
nobody
goal,
talks about that. You know what I mean? And that penalty was a bit soft, wasn't it? Come on, man. Like, I don't even think they even looked at it long enough to even like.
Can't even remember the penalty.
Well, we didn't get given the penalty for the handball, did we either?
Yeah. I was surprised we didn't get that, but
listen, they need challenges for the league, innit? Let's just be honest. The Premier League has been dodgy for years. What about Virgil, Harley? Like a lot of people, when he was injured, you know, after that Everton game, like were crying for him to come back. But I don't see as much this season for some reason, than previous season. You know, like he's obviously he's the lead at the back. He's probably one of the best defenders in the world still, I think. But a lot of people ain't shouting for him like they used to anymore. What do you think of that, Harley?
Personally, mate, I'm 100% behind him. And honestly, I think people who are saying he's been poor are kind of overstating. The thing is with Virgil van Dijk is he's good. Like he's really, really fucking good. Like this is going to be a bit of a mad show, but based on ignoring longevity and looking at pure ability, best centre-half to ever play in the Premier League, that is.
No, my opinion, 100%.
Yeah, he's genuinely unbelievable. And so the standards that people then hold him to are like, people say he's not aggressive enough, but I watched things that people blame Van Dijk for, and I just think, if you'd ever played footy to a decent level in your life, especially as a defender, you'd know in that situation, what Van Dijk does is he covers as many options as possible. In moments where if he rushes out, he just leaves gaps. And that's not what you want to do. There's probably there's been a handful, 2, maybe 3 games where he's actually been as poor as people have said. Like he was pony against United away, and that's probably the only game. The only game I've watched of him this season where I've genuinely thought he's been as bad as some people have said. But for me, he's still the best centre half on the planet. And if you sort the team out around him, the midfield in front of him and all of that, you get Virgil van Dijk. And I think the thing is with Van Dijk is he's so intelligent that even his legs do go or whatever, he's still one of the best, if not the best centre halves in the world, because he's just got it up there. I'm telling you now, he could play for us until he's 37, 38.
Yeah, he can. Yeah,
like, look what Thiago Silva's doing for Chelsea. Thiago Silva can do that. Virgil van Dijk can do it.
I just think he played too many games down the years. That's why he's probably suffering nowadays. You know, I mean, obviously that injury that has caused a lot of stuff on him, but I think like if we had enough cover for him down the years, maybe he'd be like playing more often than not right now. But what do you think, Ryan, of him? Like,
I think you're right. I think after you've had an ACL injury, it's hard to then go and do the same workload that you did previous to the ACL. Especially having an ACL at, what was it, 28, 27 when he got it, 27, 28. You know, it's not a great age that to have an ACL. I agree with Harley, and I think, like I said in my video recently, it's the similar situation that you have with the likes of Trent. They set a bar so high that people then beat them with the stick, you know, that they've made for their own back kind of thing. And
I like to call it Mo Salah syndrome, because he gets it worse than anyone, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like Mo's absolutely getting it in the neck at the moment, and listen, his performances aren't to the level that he's set. But what we're forgetting is there's only I think there's only 3 players in the Premier League who've set a better goal and assist record than him this season, and he's playing in a team that are sitting in 10th, that have less possession, create less chances, and he's still setting those kind of numbers.
So it's Saka, Haaland, and who's the third, you know?
Kane, I think.
Kane, yeah.
People forget how good of a season Harry Kane's actually having. And you know, and it's one of them with Virgil, is your levels and your bar is that high that the second you start to come below that, you look like a normal footballer. So then everyone goes, oh, well, you're just a normal footballer. And it's like, right, but he still starts for Chelsea, still starts for City, still starts for Arsenal, still starts for Tottenham, still starts for the other 19 out of the 20 in the Premier League, and he's still their best defender in all those teams. It's just the bar has been that high that when you come slightly below it, people go, oh, well, you're human again. You know, and I think these players, they get beaten with the stick that they've made for themselves, kind of thing. But I'm not worried.
I just think they need help. I just think if we refresh the squad and had like players with like quality and that can help these players out, they will get enough rest to come back to what they were. You know, like everybody talks about their age and all that stuff, but in the modern day with the nutrition, like with the fitness and all that stuff they do in the teams, age is just a number, you know what I mean? Like, when you're 30 years old, you could play. And look at Ronaldo, like, look at Ibrahimovic, he's in 40s and still playing, you know what I mean? They could actually prolong their career if you guide them in the right way, Ryan. If you
got to remember as well, Foz, these lads, like you say, with their age, you get older, you get wiser. The likes of James Milner, Jordan Henderson, Virgil van Dijk, they'll probably want to go into coaching and management. Yeah. So they're not daft. They know what the situation is. They know we've not signed enough players to refresh the squad. They know that there's issues within the coaching. They know there's issues within the medical departments. They're not children. They know full well what's going on. And if you're part of that leadership group at Liverpool, which those 3 players are, that responsibility does fall onto your shoulders a little bit, and it can play more of an effect than people actually think. This isn't grassroots football. It's not like us 3 being the managers of a grassroots football team and they're struggling a little bit, and you go home and you're like, fucking hell, I wish we'd have won today. Right, anyway, Sam, what's for tea? These blokes get paid ridiculous amounts of money and have so much responsibility on their shoulders as part of the leadership group of what has been one of the most successful football clubs in the history of the sport. Imagine taking that home with you every single day, taking that into the stands every single day, watching 50-odd thousand people shout your name when you know you're below par. It's a lot of pressure that people don't actually realise.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to move on to the Wolves versus Liverpool game. Let's do this, people. Let's do this. So, last time we faced Wolves, we beat them. Harvey Elliott scored a goal in the FA Cup, and obviously we drew at Anfield. The whole was at that game. What do you guys think of this game? I'll start with you, Ryan. Like, can we beat them? Because I'm worried, like in regards to where can we get our next win from? It doesn't matter who we face, especially with the personnel we've got at the moment. The results might not come that we really want, if you know what I mean.
It's one of them, Foz, like, obviously we all know that the last couple of weeks on Twitter and social media and things like that and around the football club have been tough. And last night I had like a epiphany moment where I was like, you know what, I can't be arsed with this anymore. I stuck some Jamie Webster on, thought back about all the decent memories that I've had with Liverpool, like the FA Cup final last year when misses and stuff like that. And I thought, you know what, I'm not dwelling in this doom and gloom anymore. I'm getting back on the horse, positivity. Yeah. Chelsea dropped points last night against Fulham. If we win today, we go to 6th.
That's crazy.
We go.
Depends on the Brighton game as well, doesn't it, mate?
Well, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. But we can go. But we can go. We can potentially go to 6th. But you can also go 7 points off top 4, and what people are forgetting is the likes of Manchester United, the likes of Newcastle, the likes of Fulham, the likes of Brighton, the likes of even Brentford. They're all having their purple patch at the moment. They've not had their dips yet. We're going through our dip and we're still close. You get those players back and we start to have our purple patch at the right time of the season.
Get the injuries back as well. Yeah.
Exactly. Who knows? But for me, Foz, it's one of them. I'm done with the doom and gloom. I'm done with the looking at everything negative. It's another chance for me to watch the lads play footy. Win, lose or draw, we're there. I'm feeling confident for the game today. Personally, I think our record at Wolves actually is really decent. I think we've won the last 3 games 1-0, and I saw enough against Wolves away in the FA Cup that Klopp had realised what we need to change.
Yeah.
I was then really happy with the team selection for Chelsea because, again, I thought he realised, we can't be throwing Henderson and Fab back in. He then did the exact same against Brighton away, and if it weren't for the subs in the last 20 minutes, we'd have come away with that game with a replay, if not potentially a win. So there's things to build on, and there's definitely been improvements, and hopefully with the news of Virgil being back, Bobby being back, Diaz out running, Jota being back, the club will have a little bit of a lift, and 3 points today, I think it'd boost us all, wouldn't it? At the end of the day,
100%, brother. What do you think, Harley? So let me just Uncle Rod's, big up, guys. Have a great show. Please go subscribe to Uncle Rod's, people. Like, he's very knowledgeable about Liverpool Football Club. He's a big Liverpool Football Club fan as well. So please go subscribe to him. Big up Uncle Rod's. Thanks for coming on, mate. Thank you very much. Go on, Harley. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, it's a big game, isn't it? It's a big game. It could be a season defining for me. Like if we can come away with 3 points in this away from home, Wolves are a decent team defensively, but they have been struggling. Do you know what I mean? If you only have to take a look at the table to know that, and look at the recent form as well. They've been on and off, to say the least. It's more than realistic that we could get 3 points. As I say, Ryan says he's done with the doom and gloom, but to be honest, I never really started with it. Like, once I accepted that we weren't going to be in a title race, I've said the whole time we will get top 4 because we're not competing with Manchester City. We're competing with a Man United team who were a Casemiro injury or away from being the same team that they were. Newcastle, Bruno Guimaraes suspended. I can imagine that won't bode well for them. And they're, as I say, they're in a purple. But they remind me of a West Ham Leicester from that 2021 season. I feel like I bring that up a lot. But like a team that overachieves and then ultimately, I'm not saying that they aren't long term going to be really good.
Harley, it is kind of strange, like they haven't signed a lot of players. I think 2 players, and like from being bottom last season, now they're challenging for the Champions League squad. The spot. Don't you guys think like a couple of signings can change Liverpool as well if we can get like in that position? Like
100%. I think we all know that though, don't we, Mink? And hopefully we do get that in the summer. But as I say, I think a lot of Liverpool fans who think there's no chance of us getting top 4 are so conditioned to being in these title races with Man City. We aren't competing with Man City anymore. We aren't competing with that. These teams are going to drop points every week, and if we get our house in order, we can make that gap up. Let's have 100%. That right. We can make that gap up. Even if we drop more points, we can still make it up. We just need to go on a good run. And that's it. I think I believe we'll get top 4. I genuinely believe it. And that's me being truthful with you. Yeah. That's me being truthful with you. And I'm going to put this out on record, and I'm saying this live on here.
Mm-hmm. No, listen.
Well, I think we can win the Premier League
next season. At the end of the day,
I think we can win the Premier League next season as well.
Yeah. Well, listen.
I'm putting my big Scouse bollocks on the table, and that's what I'm telling you.
To me, at the end of the day, it's better knowing what you need than not. If you know, I know I say that a lot, guys. Like, we know what we need, what positions we need to strengthen. Like, we're not gonna buy for the sake of buying. You know what I mean? So if we sort that midfield out next season, probably get another centre back, probably another winger, I think we're fine. I think, like, you know what I mean, we could be up there. I mean, and these players, the most important thing is experience in it of winning. If you have that experience in a team that's winning a lot, and players around that as well, and then we could like do that again. No,
I think as well though for Foz for next season, there'll be parts of that team, players in that team right now, and I'm probably looking at the likes of your Thiagos, your Alissons, your Van Dijks, your Canates, your players who are established and they know they're going to be around next season, who will already have it in the back of their mind. I'm getting ready for next season now. You know, like regardless of what happens this season, and especially if we get takeover news to the point of where we know financially, Champions League or not, we're going to be fine in the summer. There'll be players within that squad right now where we're thinking, right, I'm gonna build on my game. I'm gonna get through this season. We'll see what happens, and then literally, mate, the second this season finishes, the second that full-time whistle goes, those players will be like, right, bang, 100%. Where's revenge? Where's revenge? Where's the new season? Where's the new signings?
Right. Do you think, like, this season, because it's been overwhelming, innit, in regards to players and the World Cup and all that stuff, there's so many things the players have to think about in regards to their own personal, you know, form and, you know, issues that they're going to have during the season? Do you think there's just too many things came at once, hence why we're performing the way we're performing this season?
Yeah, definitely, because you got to remember, so after that League Cup final, February onwards, League Cup final, we went full strength, and then literally from the League Cup final up until the Champions League final, it was relatively full strength with the odd rotations of Taki coming in, Curtis coming in, Elliot coming in every now and then. Those, I feel like Klopp and the players and everyone in the club just got together and went, listen, we can rotate, but we might sacrifice the the Premier League running, or we might sacrifice the Champions League, or we might sacrifice the FA Cup, or we can all come together, go for one final push in your career to the point of where you leave everything, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, and I think they did that, and unfortunately, obviously, we just fell short. And then we got to the summer. We tried to sign a Shoemany. We tried to fix.
Yeah, that's another thing, right? Like, a lot of people are saying, like, we haven't signed anyone. We haven't tried to sign a midfielder. You know, like around the Twitter and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we did, Ryan. Like, Tchouaméni was our first option.
Oh, listen.
The unfortunate thing is, like, we haven't had a second option or third option. But
exactly.
if you haven't got the backroom staff that actually deals with that, like Michael Edwards, like, and then we've got a new guy coming in at the same time. You know what I mean? Those things take time. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, the guy is not staying now. But I'm just trying to say, plays devil's advocate here. Like,
listen. Foz, you say it all the time about you have to have your house in order off the pitch to then obviously get your house in order on the pitch. And unfortunately, at the moment, the club doesn't have that due to the uncertainty of everything. And that's fine. Again, it's a cycle that'll fix itself. And whether it takes a year or 4 or 5, whatever, it will come back around. However, you bang on in the sense of, like, well, we've not signed a midfielder in 4 years. And it's like, well, yes, we've not, but we've tried. The issue has been Liverpool Football Club haven't done enough. It's not like we've just sat there and gone, oh, yeah, you know, we're blasé to all these issues. Klopp went for Shoemany, didn't get him, and felt like, you know what, no, there's no one else out there that I see, you know, has a better value or has a better playing ability than what I've got in my current squad. Was he right to do that? Probably not. But again, hindsight's a wonderful thing. If we were third in the Premier League now and we were just faltering a little bit, people would be going, oh, well, we only need you, Bellingham, and we're back. It's just due to the fact that we've had such a big drop-off that nobody predicted. I don't care who you are. Nobody predicted. Nobody knew it was coming.
Mate, proper wines. We want to see people say, oh, everyone's seen this drop-off coming. Mate, you might have seen drop-off in the sense of we won't compete with Manchester City for the title. You did not have us down to be ninth at this point in the season. You just didn't, did you?
No.
You just didn't. Unless you're a proper doom and gloom merchant who says before every season, we're going to be crap, and then we go on to nearly win a quadruple. Like, if you keep saying, we're going to be shit this season, we're going to be shit this season, and then we're not for ages, and then the one season we're not good, well, I've fucking told you so. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, eventually you're going to be right.
Yeah. Listen, no one thought Fabinho was going to have a walking stick on the football pitch just to play. Yeah. Nobody knew these issues were going to come about to the level that they have. So perspective is needed in these kind of moments, and it ain't as bad as everybody thinks, and it is not as good as the other side of Liverpool Twitter thinks, where they're all like, "Oh no, we're going to win the quadruple again next season." It's some middle ground. Yeah, exactly. It's somewhere in between, isn't it? The perspective that is needed is somewhere in the middle. And coming back to the original point, no one knew the drop off was going to be this big, and we will come to the summer. And like you say, Foz, we know exactly what we need. We're also now not one of the better teams in Europe, because when you're one of the better teams, it's harder to strengthen because it's so difficult to go and find talent that improves you because you're already at the top.
Ryan,
we're now here.
You know what's funny, guys? Like, if these injuries come back and like we're still competing in the Champions League, how far can we go? I mean, we've been in a worse situation than this and won the Champions League. I mean, so a lot of people were like trying to drum this into me and say like, if these injuries come back, like Jota, Diaz, Van Dijk, and all that stuff, and they made for the Champions League, how far can we go? We don't know.
I think one thing that does give me faith is we have actually been decent in the Champions League this season, because it's been so long since the group stage. People forget, but the Champions League group stage, I think we were the highest goal scorers.
Rangers tax, like, do you know what I mean? But
but you still have to put the ball on the back of the net in those games. We went and put three past Ajax away at Ajax.
Other than Napoli away, which was horrible, obviously, I don't think we've really been that bad in the Champions League at all. We've been
Napoli's
good performances against Rangers home and away, 2 good games against Ajax. I thought we were all right Napoli at home, we did.
Considering we rotated a little bit as well. Yeah. But Napoli away is probably up there with one of the toughest places to go in Europe at the moment, and they've always been a bogey team.
Going away anywhere in Europe is that, like, people forget, but the season we won the Champions League, we lost all 3 of our away games in the group stage. Everyone was like, "Well, how the fuck have they lost to Red Star?" Like, everyone was having a meltdown over that.
I remember
the atmosphere at Red Star Belgrade is immense, mate.
Again, though, coming back to that, though, H, that's another point of. We won every single game in the Champions League group stage last season. We beat Atletico Madrid away. We set standards so high last season that this drop off actually becomes even worse. If we don't get to the Champions League final and we finish 3rd in the Premier League last season, everyone goes, "This is just a natural decline." It's because we set, again, it's the Salah syndrome, as Harley said. We set a standard so high last season that dropping out of the nearly the top half of the table, it literally looks like you're not sliding down the mountain, you've jumped off it head first.
Mate, I'm not asking what anyone says, but being 2 games of footy away from winning the lot is one of the most mental achievements.
No one will avoid
it. That's the thing, though, Harley. They don't get the credit they deserve. They don't get.
A lot of people only ever look at the final product, don't they? The common argument is, well, we only won 2 trophies and not 4, so it wasn't that impressive. But people, I don't hate the record books don't look at context.
No, they don't think about like what it took on them, like the toll, like the mental toll it took on them last season, like being so close, and just like that one game.
Look at the stress it took on us as fans.
So
you got the fans who watch it from home, who are these Twitter guys and the likes of me. Yeah. It took a toll on us. Then you've got the fans that follow home and away. It takes an even bigger toll on them. So fuck knows what it's like taking as a player trying to do that. You have to put stuff into perspective.
You're forgetting, like, that's happening on the pitch, and can you imagine off the pitch, your personal life as well? Like, what is affecting outside the pitch as well?
Oh, mate,
people don't look into that. People don't look into
No. Like Fab with his child. Like imagine us, right? Imagine us having a Champions League final tomorrow, but you've had an argument with your bird the night before, because it's possible. It plays on your mind, because again, they're human, they're not robots. You look at Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho's been out with 3 months without an injury because he's had personal issues going on. Because that's footy. Comes back, has a pretty poor game the other night. Well, he's had a poor game because he's just been out for 3 months with personal issues. Exactly. They've not just disappeared out of his mind. They're still there. He just feels like he's at a place where he can come back to football. And these players, unfortunately, mentally aren't at that state yet. Will they be there next season?
7 years straight, though, Ryan. 7 years straight.
Yeah, exactly.
People, like they do need sometimes time off from things like that to re-energize themselves, to get to the place.
And not just that as well, mate. It's 4 to 5 years now with the same players around you, the same staff around you. You start to get sick of each other. You're this big family that spends every single day together. So at some point, you are going to get pissed off with each other, and that's where you do the little tweaks, the little refreshments, the little hair. You keep things fresh. There is so much stuff that plays part in an elite football team that people don't look at. They just see it as, well, we lost today, so we're absolutely wank.
Like I said to you, Ryan, before, and Harley, if you're not in and around football, like Harley said earlier, if you haven't played the game, if you haven't been around the game, like in real life, you don't know what these people experience. So you're just prejudging, and then you get followers that actually listen to what you say, and then you take it into the wrong direction. There's an old saying, you support your team through thick and thin. You know what I mean? I've always said it. Share your frustrations after the game, then forget about it. You got to move on, because if you keep having that doubt every single game, that filters into the team, the manager, everything like that, and then it just destroys the team morale. If you know what I mean, guys. So it's a lot.
Well, I imagine, to be fair, Harley, you'd probably be able to relate to this a little bit more because you're younger than me and Foz. But what must it be like being like a Darwin Núñez going on Twitter at the moment, or Curtis Jones popping on Twitter?
That is why. I have a philosophy that unless a player is being extremely lazy or just has a horrible attitude, I'll never go on Twitter and publicly slag them off. At worst, I might say he wasn't brilliant today. But even if there was a player in the squad that I didn't particularly rate, but he was fucking giving 110%, I wouldn't go on there and slag him off, because the thing is, people don't realise it, do they? Because they're just sat there fucking up behind the keyboard. But see, especially as a young person, seeing shit like that, your head's chocker, do you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
Darwin Núñez, when he was at Benfica,
what's it right? Shay says, big up John Henry, hashtag FSD in. I love that one. One second, mate, 1 second. Lewis Smith says, big up, guys. Thank you for coming on, Lewis. Shay says, we can win the Premier League with the right investment. Listen, that's what we're saying. All of us are saying the same thing. We know what we need to do next season, and it's better knowing than not knowing. Go on, Ryan. Sorry, bro.
No, I was just saying, I think Harley's right in the sense of, and we've all been guilty of it, by the way, so let's not brandish everyone of it, where you sit at home and you watch these blokes through the TV screen and you forget the human beings because you play with them on FIFA. You only watch them for 90 minutes a week and you expect them to win every football game. So you forget the personal things, but also, and I don't know whether it's a negative or a positive, a lot of footballers' media accounts now are controlled by a media team. So you don't. It can be hard to have that personal relationship with a footballer. So I
almost know for a fact that Curtis Jones doesn't run his own social media.
No,
he tweets when absolutely necessary, and that's it. And loads of them are like that. And to be fair, if I was Curtis Jones, I'd like Twitter as well. I wouldn't want to sit there and read.
100%. Because, but what happens with that is then people then just go, right, well, I can hurl abuse at him and I can tag it because he's not going to see it. It's just his media team. And it's right, but he'll still have that downloaded on his phone. There is a part of you as a human that goes, I'm gonna have a little look at myself. Yeah. We all do it. We all
if I was a professional footballer, I would not be able to help but search my own name upon Twitter and see what people say.
It depends how you are mentally, innit, Ryan? You could be that kind of person who's laid back and just avoid things like that, or you could be the person like Curtis Jones is a young lad. Of course, he uses Twitter. Let's just be honest. He's gonna look at things like that.
Exactly.
Young, so he hasn't got that mindset yet.
the likes of Virgil van Dijk, James Milne, and Jordan Henderson, they won't be browsing Twitter every day because they've got kids, they've got wives, they've got more important things to do. And we'll do it when we all become fully grown adults. And you probably do it now, Fuzz. You're barely on Twitter because you've got more important things in life. However, if you're a young lad like Harvey Elliott, Fabio Carvalho, Curtis Jones, your life revolves around footy, shagging birds, playing Xbox, and going on social media. Because that is a young lad. Whether you're a footballer or not, that's just the life of a young lad. Bye, Harley. But it is, it is. And people...
Top shagger, me.
Like so, there was a video.
So you say.
There was a video the other day, and it was 3 minutes of just going through Fabinho and how bad he has been. And then there was another one when it was 3 minutes of going how bad Curtis Jones is, and it's like, why? Why are you making that? Why are you bothered about that? Like, why are you that interested in someone's failure that you want to go and make videos like that and slander someone? You need to get a life, man.
Yeah, Liam O'Connor says 100% agree with Shay. We're going to move on to the starting lineup, obviously. We're near the end of the show, so let's just move on to the starting lineup, guys. Who's your goalkeeper? Obviously, go Harley.
It's obviously Alisson. I don't need to justify that. Look, I love Kelleher. I'm Kelleher's biggest fan, but there's only one Alisson Becker, isn't there?
Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah, there's Alisson all day, isn't it?
Right back?
It's got to be Alexander-Arnold, hasn't it, boys?
Ryan?
Do you not think Milner comes back in now?
Don't know. I do want him to get that extension.
Yeah, he did. No,
if you know.
Yeah, he's right. Trent definitely comes in.
This is a difficult bit. Right centre back.
Joel Matip for me. Joel Matip on the right.
Do we think there's potentially an argument for Nat Phillips?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
When Nat has played for Liverpool, he's very rarely let us down.
Yeah.
Joel Matip at the moment is really struggling for performances.
He's all over the place.
Whether it's something personal or whether his body's just letting him down, whatever. So is there a case today that you go, if we're going to be playing this more pragmatic style of football that we play, maybe a Nat Phillips to sit there for us and defend could be a better option. Especially, and
he's a battler, isn't he? He's a battler, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think when you've got a Joe Gomez as well, Joe Gomez has got loads of qualities, but one of his faults is the defensive side of the game of switching off. When you've got a partner that is literally just defense first, sometimes that can help as well. So
it's one of the last game I remember him starting was it Palace at home? We started them the same game. Nunes got sent off. He was a bit shaky in that, and that's probably because we just threw him in because we had no other option.
It was 10 men, innit? Was it Newcastle? Was it? I think it's Newcastle. No, I can't remember.
It was Palace, I'm sure, but throwing him straight in, I'm not sure how well he'll do, to be honest. And the fact that we were about to sell him as well, and he probably had half of his head out the door. Mm-hmm. And look, I just rate Matip, and I know he's struggled quite a bit, but if you don't play him, you'll never get out of the form. Do you know what I mean? And
he's had some time out on it, so he's had some time out of the limelight.
Yeah, and if we avoid playing him for so long, then we're just probably wasting our best centre half who's currently fit, at least based on ability. Like, you're probably fair to say that Matip's our best fit centre half at the minute with Van Dijk out and Konate.
Oh yeah,
100%.
So that's the reason why I'm not keen to leave him out. Now, if he has several bad games in a row, then I can maybe understand it. But for me, you stick rather than twist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was Palace. Yeah, like, I think it's too much of judgment towards that game because we was 10 men. I mean, we don't know what we was gonna do with 11 men. So I think people judging him on that game, especially when I think it was Zaha that went through and goal and scored. And then the next game, I think Gomez played, and then similar thing happened, but not many people are saying anything about that. It's self-preference, isn't it? That's what it is, and people forget how hard this guy worked. And if it wasn't for him a few seasons ago, we wouldn't be in the Champions League, would we? No. So people forget.
We all absolutely love him. We all absolutely love him. Do you know what I mean?
I think he's harshly treated. I honestly think that. You know what I mean? I think if he gets a run in the team, Harley, I think he could be better than most people think.
I just think he's really unlucky that we have so many quality centre backs, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just think he's really lucky that we've got.
It's not a great era for him to have come through at Liverpool, is it? Unfortunately for him. If you were to throw him in a Brendan Rodgers team coming through, or even go back to the early like Hippier and Carragher days,
I was going to say throw him in the Hodgson era. He gets in over KG Argos and Danny Wilson, who were the two centre halves I've ever seen play for the club.
Exactly. But I think Harley makes a point about throwing him in. So it's probably going to be Matip and Gomez.
Gomez is obviously on the left as well.
Yeah. Shay says it's okay though because top Reds are happy.
Happy with what?
Better to be happy than sad, Shay.
FSG. Is it so? We all agree Matip on the right side.
Might have been
I've spoken to some people who reckon they'd put Matip left and Gomez right, but for me, I've liked Gomez more when he's played on the left because how our system works is the right centre-back is usually the engager and the left sits off, and that Gomez is more of a sitter off, and Matip is somebody who carries the ball forward a lot, and it's probably a little bit more of an engager. So, for me, that I'd have Matip on the right, Gomez on the left. I kind of get the argument for having Gomez on the right because he's a bit quicker and can maybe cover for Trent, but to be honest, I don't know how high up the pitch I'd be playing Trent with how I'm looking at this game tactically. I'm not saying he doesn't get up the pitch, but I don't know if I'd have him playing as like advanced as like he can play.
I agree 100%. Liam O'Connor says bring on investment, bring on new signings so that we can compete. We all want that, Liam. We all want that, bro. With Gomez, Harley, I think the injuries just took its toll on him. That's why he's probably not performing consistently as we expect him. People forget, like, the season we won the league, he was that partnership with Van Dijk that won us the league. People actually forget that. He was the consistent partnership for Van Dijk. And
I think people forget how young he is, to be honest. I think people also forget that he can cover right back.
Yeah, he could play left back. He started as a left back at Liverpool, as I remember. For Brendan Rodgers, so he could play across that. It's good to have players like that. That's I feel like club players, isn't it? Like having players that could play in multiple positions. So
I feel like a bit of an issue with Gomez as well in terms of how the fan base perceives him is a lot of people have a set kind of bias against him. Like everyone was slagging him off for Brighton, and let's be honest, maybe he could have done a little bit better for the winner. But other than that one moment, I genuinely thought he was immense for the full 90.
Yeah, the winning goal, the way he turned his back, like that's not
obviously that was poor, but people will zero in on that moment and not look at all the things he did all game.
Yeah, left back guys, same old.
Got to be Robertson for me, but
I saw someone the other day on Twitter and they were having a good conversation about like whether Tsimikas should come in.
Do you think Ryan? Do you think Robertson's struggling this season?
I wouldn't say he's struggling as much as Trent. Again, he's probably not hit the same standards that he expects. I had a little look at him recently in a video, and his stats regarding an assist and his actual attacking play hasn't been that dissimilar to what he usually does this season. However, for me, the defensive side of his game seems to have really been, I don't know what the word is, sort of like... there's been like a change in his mentality. I don't know if you guys have noticed it. There seems to be more backing off rather than engaging with his game now.
Do you think that's possibly a tactical thing, though?
No.
Do you think...
I think, guys, you know what I think? I think sorry to interrupt, guys. I think with Robertson, we forget he had that consistent partnership with Van Dijk and Wijnaldum. Ever since that disappeared, he hasn't been the same player. If you look at overall, he had the protection of Wijnaldum in front of him and Mane. Mane, don't forget, Mane was a big part of the defensive side of that left-hand side as well as pressing. And then you got Van Dijk right next to you as well. If you're missing those three players that's consistently been with you throughout the success era, and then you have sometimes Thiago there or someone Curtis Jones or Diaz or it's just like you keep chopping and changing Oxlade-Chamberlain. You won't be the same player anymore because you haven't got that consistent players that's been there with you throughout the success era. Do you get what I'm saying?
You know what? It's a fair point that actually, Foss, because Mo Salah plays. If Mo Salah is fit, he plays.
Yeah.
The right hand side, if Jordan Henderson has been fit, he plays. Obviously, apart from recently, so Trent, like you say, has always had that familiarity. Whereas you've had Thiago injuries, which has meant the left midfielders had to change. We've had Diaz, Jota, Nunes. He's had loads of different left wingers to play with. He's now got Cody Gakpo to throw in there. So I think you're right in that sense that it is hard to try and build relationships when your side is always chopping and changing. And coming back to your point, how maybe that is tactical. However, there was a game against, I think it was Lyon in that little mid-season friendly we did where the winger receives the ball and he's about 15 yards off and he backs off, lets the winger come into the box, cut inside and finish. And then we conceded a similar goal against Aston Villa via that. Mm-hmm. And it was so similar to the backing off thing. And again, I don't know whether it's something that's been instructed or whether he's trying to compensate because he knows, Van Dijk hasn't been in the same form that he has been in. He doesn't want to leave him 1v1. Mm-hmm. But I look back at the Champions League final. We conceded a fair few chances from him stepping in, but we also won the ball back really well from him stepping in. And I don't know whether he's just naturally changed his game to be a bit more, I don't want to call it frightened, but a bit more back foot defending rather than front foot.
Yeah, I feel as though, it was a situation where in that Real Madrid final, I'm not singling him out, but a part of that goal was probably the fact that he did overcommit and follow in too much. So I don't know if that's playing on his mind. Obviously, you have to find the balance. But my personal opinion is that he just realises that the structure of the team around him isn't the same, and he probably can't push up and press in the same way that he wants to, because like in prime Liverpool, Trent and Robertson both push up and like be part of that extra front three.
Sorry, Harley, can I ask you a question about that? The players, do you think the reason they dropped off so much, they're not doing the norm, is because they've got more responsibilities than they ever had before? You know what I mean? Before, it was that as a collective. Like, we fight as one, we win as one. Now, you have to win your individual battles and become more of a leader than actually like concentrating on your own game. Hence why these players are probably struggling with their own performances. If you know what I mean, Ryan. I don't know if that goes well, guys.
Mate, I think a big factor of this is Jordan Henderson not being the same player that he once was. His leadership, the way he take responsibility, and the way he'd kind of guide the side. Him having that drop off, his leadership qualities, like virtually irreplaceable. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's had an effect. Like even when we were at our very best, like look at the season we won the Prem. Most of our bad results you can put down to Jordan Henderson not being part of the squad. Watford 3-0 away, he wasn't part of the squad. When we fell apart at home against Atletico, he wasn't on the pitch. Like, you can probably tie most of our points dropped or most of our bad games that season to him not being on the pitch because he was that important for us that season.
But do you get what I'm saying, though,
he just had a bit of a drop off.
But do you get what I'm saying, Harley, in regards to the players? Like, they got more responsibilities than before. Maybe this
that's what I mean. Everyone's got to step up because that leadership is... Henderson maybe has leadership, but not the same quality. So with that drop off in quality, I'm not saying that he doesn't have as much respect per se, but when you lose your quality on the pitch, you lose a bit of authority as a leader as well. In terms of not them not respecting you, but just that's just how football is. I can't really explain it unless you've played the game yourself.
Of course, 100%.
But that's just that's how it goes.
Before we go to Ryan, Shay says, we knew Tuchemini was going to Madrid well before the summer. We had so much time to bring in another option.
I think we probably did look at other options.
We already covered that, Shay, in the beginning, like the reasons why we didn't sign another player. Like, if you haven't got, like Ryan said, if you haven't got your back house like in order, these are the kind of things that's going to happen. You're only going to like probably look at like one or two players, and the one you need the most just didn't come through. I don't think we knew he was going to Madrid because I think Madrid was more of Mbappe they were towards more Mbappe, because once they spend that money on Mbappe, it was impossible to get another player in, if you know what I mean, guys. So if they got Mbappe, I think Tchouaméni would have been at Liverpool, 100%. And I don't know what you think, Ryan. I think he would have been at Liverpool if they bought Mbappe.
Well, I mean, from what I remember back then, the club thought it was already like nailed on. That I'm pretty sure we agreed to deal with Monaco of around 50 million with add-ons for Tchouaméni. They lost out on Mbappe and went, right, there's 80 million pound and 180 grand a week, and what
it was done. It was done on our part until Real Madrid do that. So I don't buy this shout there. He was always a Real Madrid player, because as far as I was concerned, he was this close to being a red.
I agree with Shay though that we had time. We still had more than enough time to find. And again, I'm not going to beat the club with it because we didn't know this kind of drop off. However, drop off or not, there is still that argument of that you need to refresh. You know, you need to refresh things. You need to refresh the engine room, and we clearly had that intention with Tchouaméni. Yeah. So I go and look at, well, Amanu Kone is a very, very similar profile who was around for a decent price. So, you know, why haven't we took that gamble kind of thing? And you know,
we've made this point before, haven't we, Ryan? That I say it quite a lot, but if we were in a situation where we could afford to drop 30-40 million on somebody who in the long term we know is probably never going to start regular minutes for us, then I'm sure we would do that and just take that gamble. Yeah. But the thing is that if we pay 30-40 million for him, then where are we getting the money from to bring in somebody 10-20 million pound more expensive in the next window that can actually be part of Klopp's plans? Because I'm sure he'd rather wait for under this model. He'd rather wait 10. Not 10. He'd probably rather wait an extra bit of time to get Matheus Nunes for a little bit more, who he actually has wanted for a while, than Kone, who we don't have as much evidence that he's really that interested. And I like Kone, but it's one of them where if he's got the amount of targets we have, Bellingham, Nunes, and possibly more, are we paying 30-40 million for someone who would get into our team for 6 months and then probably never again, or maybe never again? It's not something we can, under FSG, whether we like it or not, it's probably not something we can really do.
I think you're right. I think. Sorry, Foz. I was just going to say. I think these players, these Kones, these Caicedos, when he was in Ecuador and stuff like that. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that the likes of Klopp and his backroom staff like these players, because you'd be stupid to not like these players. The same way they'd have probably liked Enzo Fernandez when he was in South America. But like you say, under this model, £5 million is a risk. It's depressing. It's depressing that we're at that stage and we're under that model. But unfortunately, £5 million is a massive risk for an FSG model. However, like Harley alludes to, if you've got different owners, all of a sudden it doesn't become a risk at all. You bring them in, 5 million, five-year deal, put them on loan for a season. Yeah, sound, you've done well. Come on in, you'll start for the team. You've done well on loan. We don't really fancy it. Oh, right, sweet. We'll go and get £10 million.
That's what I mean. We can't just drop 10-20 million pound on. I literally had this conversation with Shay on Twitter last night. By the way, he's a good lad, Shay.
Yeah, Shay's cool.
Man. We can't turn around and just drop 10-20 million pound on a South American and immediately loan them out, because that's basically taking money away from players we actually need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure we would take more gambles in the South American market.
110%. There's even talk of Manchester City now looking at loaning or cashing in on Calvin Phillips.
Wow,
that's £50 million that means nothing to them.
What a waste!
Nothing.
Shay says, I didn't expect this Fabinho decline, but to be fair, he has been run into the ground. If I speak about Fabinho, guys, why he's not performing, you probably understand more. Fabinho is an interceptor in midfield, guys. He's not that kind of player that runs about like a maniac, like having Mascherano. Let me give you an example like that. He's not that type of player. He needs players that can do the running for him around him so he could make those important interceptions in that midfield. And not only that, like I've always said, if we haven't got Firmino here, supporting him, it's difficult for him to cover that position, if you know what I mean. So what they used to do is have this, like when they were defending. So make that area compact so he could do his interceptions from like, the opponents getting the ball off them, all that stuff. Now, everything is like this. And there's a big space here in the middle. So he has to go everywhere. And then this is the reason why they get behind him and, they get the goals and all that stuff. So if that area is not compact, as I showed in the beginning, he is going to face those difficulties because he hasn't got the legs to run around the pitch. Because if you look at his beginning of his career till now, he's not the best runner we ever had in our lives. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't do that kind of stuff. I don't know what you think, Ryan and Harley. Like, I think we're asking too much of him at the moment, especially when we haven't got the personnel that he's used to around him.
I absolutely agree with all that, but I think an aspect of things that people overlook is the technical side of things. Like, look at the partnership he had, like peak Liverpool. Yeah. You have Wijnaldum next to him, who would not only do that running, but people often just look at Wijnaldum and just think box-to-box energetic, but people don't realise how much he'd control possession and dictate the tempo of midfield. And I know we have Thiago to do that, but the thing is, the Henderson on the other side has not been quite the same player.
Harley, don't you think like there's a big gap in the middle when he's facing players now compared to those days?
Yeah.
This is the thing, a big thing that people forget about Gini Wijnaldum. And to be fair, unless you've studied football at an analytic level or you've played at a decent level, it can be easy to miss. But the spaces he would fill off the ball were unreal. Bar Bobby Firmino, I don't think I've seen someone at Liverpool who's better at filling spaces than Gini Wijnaldum off the ball. Like, the lad knew what was happening 4 or 5 steps before it even happened if we lost the ball. Exactly. So you'd see Robbo, you'd see Mane, you'd see Salah, Bobby, you'd see them all parading forward. Mm-hmm. And then we'd lose the ball and we'd win it back straight away. And that's not a coincidence. As much as you need energy, of course you do. That comes from positioning yourself to inch perfect capabilities every single time. If we were attacking down the left, Gini Wijnaldum would already have it in his mind. Right, if the fullback wins it, plays it into the centre mid, and then they start to move forward, that's where I need to be. And then if we switch the play, he goes right. If we lose the ball to their left back, and I'm on the left hand side, if the left back plays into the centre mid, the centre mid's going to open up and try and play to the opposite fullback. Mm-hmm. So this is where I need to be. You can't
sacrificed a lot, hasn't he, Ryan? He's sacrificed a lot in his game.
Absolutely, sacrificed absolute tons. Because bearing in mind, when he was off the leash, he was so good going forward. And for the Netherlands, he's off the leash and he's allowed to do whatever he wants. Mm-hmm. He literally just went to us, right, here's the peak of my career. Here's the 4 or 5 year peak of my career where I can be box to box and be absolutely boss. And he's just going, you know what? No. This is what you need for me from the team. Mm-hmm. I'll do it. He was a left winger at Newcastle.
Of course. Yeah. Number 10 for
left
PSV.
Wing number 10, yeah.
And what we turned him into, it's not just down to coaching, that's down to his football brain
100%.
Being one of the most elite football brains I think I've ever seen at Liverpool.
They said Kevin De Bruyne never had a good game against him because he matched him for pace and everything.
In that 2021 season, what he was playing in the 6 as well. He's ridiculously versatile.
People forget that, bro.
Like we played him centre half at the Bernabeu.
Yeah, people.
Not the
Brighton away. Remember Brighton away, Ryan, as well.
Brighton away. Yeah.
Well, him and Emre Can played as centre backs, didn't they? And was it the Bernabeu? He played as a striker. The
Nou Camp. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So it shows he's an all-round player, and he's a typical Liverpool player. If you haven't got that type of player in your actual team, it shows the drop-off, guys. I swear to God, it shows that's why I keep advocating for Caicedo, man. I think he suits us.
We never truly replaced Wijnaldum, did we? And I think we kind of all that.
No, Moyes is Caicedo. There's been a graphic doing the rounds on Twitter about progressive passes, and he's third in the list of people who play progressive passes on average of players under 23. Bearing in mind, this lad is a sort of what you'd call a defensive-minded midfielder.
Yeah.
There's a video on my channel, obviously, that I did a while back about him, looking at his stats and stuff like that. And when I was doing my research into him and I was watching videos and stuff, as Shay says, Caicedo is that guy. I honestly, hand on heart, think he would have a bigger impact than Jude Bellingham. I think Jude Bellingham's the better player. However, for what this Liverpool team needs and the way
Yes,
Klopp
it's
sets
right.
up, I think Caicedo has the Virgil van Dijk effect. He is that good. He is unreal. Watch him. Next time you watch him, don't just watch his
I'll watch
defensive
him,
side
bro.
of the game. Watch him
Off the
playing
ball.
between. Watch him
Off
playing
the
between the
ball.
lines. Watch him off the ball. Watch his passing range. Watch his driving with the ball. If he adds goals to his game,
Yeah.
whoever he goes to over the next 4 or 5 years, have got arguably one of the best midfielders in the Premier League.
What I've seen,
Really
what I've seen,
immense.
Ryan, what I've seen of him do is the fullbacks, the way he passes the ball as they on the run. Like if
Yeah.
Robertson goes on the run, he will find that pass for Robertson just to cross it in the box and someone taps it in. That's
Mate,
how the kind of passes he does. And
Watch,
people don't even know things like that.
watch his assist to Matoma against Everton after he just comes back from the World Cup. Picks the ball up in the right back spot, pings it for 60 yards like a Trent into Matoma's feet. Matoma goes and scores. I can't advocate how much. I was fucking buzzing when Arsenal missed out on him on the last day of the transfer window. Because if we get owners, the club needs to. If you want £100 million, Brian, sound
Just
there you go. Because he is.
Get him in.
Him under Klopp could be
Dream.
frightening with a Jude Bellingham in front of him as well.
Whew.
Like, honestly, I think you're talking the best midfield in the Premier League.
Do we think
Caicedo is that guy?
Caicedo,
100%, bro.
do we think Caicedo is better as a 6 or 8? And I feel as someone who's watched them as
He could
both.
play both. He could play both.
I like him more as that right side of 8, but fucking he's that good that he can do both. Do you know what I mean?
Nah, double pivot for me.
Yeah.
Put him and Thiago sat behind Jude Bellingham, Luis Diaz and Salah either side of Nunes, and we're cooking. Like, honestly, like him and Thiago just sitting there. Thiago averages 6 tackles a game, and so does Caicedo. So there's 12 on average, 12 tackles a game.
Already 1 interceptions in there. There you go.
Yeah. And then you got your interceptions. Yeah, then you got Jude Bellingham pressing from the front and getting into those little pockets. Someone said, a Bundesliga journalist on Twitter the other day, said whoever signs Jude Bellingham in the summer, get him as close to the opposition box as you can, because that's where he's been playing this season for Dortmund, and he's been immense. You go and put a Caicedo and a Thiago behind Jude Bellingham, and I'm telling you, mate, you are the best midfield in the Premier League.
Mate.
No doubt whatsoever.
Well, guys, what do you want? Who do you want as a defensive midfielder? I don't know. I'm assuming we're playing 4-3-3.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah.
Fabinho? Or
Bajcetic for me.
It's Bajcetic for me, and
okay.
I will, before I make my point, I will step up to defend Fabinho and say we haven't seen him this season with Thiago and Keita next to him, which is, spoiler alert, they're my 2 picks. Sorry about
last
that.
season together, haven't they? Last season, if you think about it, when them 3 played together.
That was easily our best midfield.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
That game against City at Wembley, where we put 3 past them in the first half, Keita and Thiago and Fabinho was running the shop. And when you're running Man City's midfield, you know you're good, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
what on the right side of the field? Are you like holding out for Keita again or not, guys?
Naby Keita for me, 110%. Naby Keita. Has
What
to
about
be.
you, Ryan?
I think that the only argument could slightly be Harvey Elliott, and I don't mean in the sense of his old midfield performances. I mean more in the sense of he's picked up a little bit of form, he's looking a bit more confident, but I would like to see Nunes back into the starting 11. I'd also like to see Gakpo and Salah either side. So I think there's an argument to go sort of 4-2-4 and play Harvey in there. However, I don't think Klopp will.
No.
I think he'll go with Bajcetic, Keita and Thiago. It's the same midfield he's picked for the last 3 games.
Probably,
they didn't do anything wrong in the Brighton game. It's just the substitutions that
No. Listen,
probably our technical midfield 3, isn't it?
Yeah, and our better performances have come with those 3 midfielders having a 7-day break in between games, and they've got the same now. They've got an 8-day break after this for the Everton game. So yeah, I think he'll go same midfield.
Shay says, let's hope and pray we get Qataris in before the summer so we can get Caicedo.
Fingers crossed.
Listen, we're all hoping, brother. We're all hoping, man. I mean, we're praying as well. Don't worry about that. Left hand side, it's Thiago, isn't it?
Thiago Alcantara.
All day.
Left hand side?
I've gone Nunes in my prediction.
No,
not. H, take it over.
It's Gakpo for me personally, and It's one of them where I can understand why. Again, I want to see. I've talked about this previously with other players. I think it was Gakpo and Ox, but I want to see interchanges. I want to see a bit more fluidity. I want to see a bit more unpredictability from the front line. Gakpo, for me, is somebody who, in moment, you can have him false nines, help them midfield out. But for me, I'd like to see him off the left.
Harley, do you think like the way people are prejudging him now, like is it similar to Nunes when he first came? Like it's harsh. Like
yeah, it's so harsh that everyone's writing him off when he's been thrown into a struggling team. Klopp's trying to get him to learn a new position as well, because he's probably in his head. He's thinking, well, we probably need a bit of a Firmino type player to help that midfield. As you demonstrated it well, Fozzie, actually, with your little movement to the striker and going into them deep positions defensively and otherwise. But yeah, Gakpo for me is Gakpo for me. I'd start him off the left, but that doesn't mean he sticks to that side. I'd like to see interchanges. I'd like to see overloads. I'd like to see a bit of unpredictability, because I feel like our biggest issue lately has been we've been a bit too static up front.
Yeah, 100%. Shay says not Fabinho, Bajcetic instead. Yeah, we're all in the same boat, brother.
I think we all agree. He's been immense, hasn't he, Bajcetic?
Yeah. What about you, Ryan, on the left hand side?
I just checked my Twitter. I went Elliot left wing, Gakpo up front, Salah right wing. It's not what I would play. It was my prediction, obviously, for what Klopp would play. And I go that off for the sense of just going off his previous team selections and press conferences when he spoke about consistency. He wants consistency of performances, consistency of players. So to bring consistency, you obviously also have to have consistency of selection. Yeah. And as well, Nunes has just done an interview beating himself up with Sky, going on about like he doesn't think he's been playing well, but he tries his hardest. And, you know, when someone's in that kind of mind frame, maybe gently bringing them in as he has done is probably the better kind of approach rather than...
Ryan, don't you think like with Nunes, the issues he's having is he's not having that consistent run, if you know what I mean? Each time he's having a good time, he's injured or he doesn't play, you know what I mean?
Do you know what, Foz? My personal opinion is I don't even think it's to do with football. I think he's just young. I think he's just very young up here. He had counselling.
But he has improved. Don't get me wrong. He has.
Listen, mate.
His touches and passes are much better than.
Listen, obviously you just go on my Twitter. You know I'm a massive Darwin enthusiast, and I have no doubt in my mind that he will go down as one of the highest goal scorers in Liverpool history, and and be unbelievable for us and win a Champions League or Premier League with the Reds. However, I feel like at the moment he's just young. He's just so young up here. Raw. You know, when you grow up at a team like Liverpool or a team like Manchester City or Chelsea, you have such an infrastructure behind you as a kid that you get told about social media training, you get told about media training, you get advised by some of the best doctors and best physiotherapists and the best counsellors in the world. He had to get private counselling apparently when he was at Benfica for the mental side of the game regarding social media, and you see that he is active with his Twitter and his comments and things like that. And for me, he just is young up here. Once he gets older,
you know why he's lucky. He's lucky he can't speak English or understand English.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of them as well. He's had his kid, hasn't he? He's just had the kid a couple of years ago, and once the kid starts to get to 4 or 5 and he realises that there's more responsibility in life than being a young lad and browsing Twitter and that, then it'll be absolutely fine. It just comes with maturity, getting older, getting wiser, getting calmer in front of goal because you've got more experience. And this is the whole reason why Klopp's not been panicking, because Klopp's an older bloke who knows these things. He knows how these cycles go.
He had this before with Lewandowski and
mate.
So he knows how to work with these players eventually.
Nine times out of 10, young lads will be sat there, like I said before, shagging birds, playing Xbox on Twitter, playing a bit of footy. And Klopp's a man who's been around for a long time, and he knows this, and he knows that the modern generation is slightly changing. All they need is time. They need time to realise that there's more important things in life. They need to mature. They need that realisation of that. Well, no, there's bigger things out there. And once he starts to settle down, calm down, and once the team starts to settle down and calm down, Darwin Núñez will be absolutely fine.
to me, like the most important thing from him is like he gives 100% every game he plays, guys.
Yeah.
That's the most important. That's all I ask for. I don't ask for much, but 100% is the commitment. That's all I ask for.
That passion and enthusiasm, you can't just pull that out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean?
No,
you can
yeah.
tell.
No.
Balls them all you want, but you cannot deny that he's 100% asked. And I think he's a fantastic footballer as well.
Yeah.
But
100%.
you can just the passion in him. Do you know what I mean? And it does. To be honest, it doesn't surprise me that he has had to, sit down and talk to someone and get counselling because you can tell that he cares. Do you know what I mean? And if you
100%.
care, then it's not just the positive side because the negative side can get in your head as well. If you
Look at his goal
care as much as he
celebrations,
does
Harley.
care.
Look at his goal celebrations, mate. Like,
Mate, he celebrates Liverpool goals like I celebrate Liverpool goals, and that's why I love him.
Yeah. So is he the one that's gonna be up front, like a striker?
For me, yeah absolutely.
Me too. Salah on the right. So
I think we can agree on that, can't we?
Yeah, that's done. So this is the formation for the game that we've decided, and we move on.
That'd be exactly my 11. Exactly my 11.
Mine too, bro. Yeah. So let's get back. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get this going again. So the next thing we're going to be talking about before we go is score prediction. What is it? Harley, you go first, bro.
I'm going to go 1-0 Liverpool. I'm going to say we have a repeat of the cup. It won't be easy. It'll be a graft.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though we can keep a clean sheet with that lineup because Wolves haven't been the most clinical in front of goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can do it. And I think it'll be a big step towards getting our confidence up. Obviously going into the Merseyside derby.
Yeah.
And then just going into the rest of the season in general. Real Madrid round the corner, Newcastle away round the corner. So some more challenging games to come. If we can get 3 points out of this, then that could maybe be a big kickstart to get us to where we need to be. You know what I
mean? Ryan?
I'm going to go 3-1. Purely because I think it'd be very Liverpool-esque to have all this doom and gloom around at the moment, whilst the lads have quietly been going under the radar and improving slightly, and then letting out frustrations and letting out anger from the Brighton game out against Wolves. I struggle to see us keeping a clean sheet, not in the sense of I agree with Harley that Wolves aren't the biggest goal scorers. However, it's a very unconfident back four with not a natural leader there, so that does worry me slightly. And obviously they're going to have if it is that team, they're going to have a young 18-year-old sat just in front of them as well. But I feel like it's today where the likes of Mo, the likes of Gakpo, the likes of Nunes, the likes of Elliott really start to properly arrive again, because I think behind closed doors this week will have given the lads a massive boost, knowing that Diogo Jota, Bobby Firmino, Virgil van Dijk, are all coming back soon. Diaz is out running, seeing their mate back on the pitch will give them a boost. Because again, these mental things do take a part.
Yeah.
And I think, again, like I said, that'll give the lads a slight lift, knowing that if they can just get through this next couple of weeks, they get those main heads back, they get the lads that they depend on back, and we'll be back to our strongest 11 kind of thing. So, yeah, 3-1 for me.
I'll say that 2-1. We are going to concede. Majority of the time we do concede, don't we? So yeah, I'll say 2-1. I think we're gradually we're going to come back to like consistency just a bit, just to climb up that table, because I think the injuries are coming back, like the injury players. So as soon as everybody's back, or like Van Dijk at the back, Jota and Diaz on that, I think the competition for places will motivate majority of the players to play that extra better, if you know what I mean, guys. So,
that bit of respite as well. That bit of
100%.
Will absolutely be helpful.
Guys, before we finish, a lot of people ask me, so let's just speak about this. So FSG, Harley, what do you think of the situation with them, mate? Like, is it time we part ways and get new owners in?
I think the vast majority of us can now, and I'm someone who stuck up for FSG a lot in the past, but I think now we're in a situation where them by putting the club up for sale, they're showing their hand. They're admitting at this point that they can't take us any further. And, fucking more power to them for holding their hands up and saying, like, you know what, it's time to cash out. The smart business-wise, it's probably the best thing for Liverpool.
Yeah.
So, as I say, more power to them, fair enough. And I get people's frustrations, but I think now we're at a point where everyone's talking about FSG out and that, and particularly on social media. But it's at a point now where Fenway Sports Group now have fucking zero impact on absolutely anything the club does, apart from maybe contract extensions, until July. Do you know what I mean? So it's a case of now that we haven't picked up that midfielder that we probably all kind of desperately wanted in the January. For me now, that window being shut is now I've got my supporters head on now. I'm just thinking, this is the squad that we've got to deal with. I'm going to back them, I'm going to support them, and I'm going to see what we can do with this team, because there's nothing we can do now until the summer, and I reckon they'll be gone by then. We can have the different conversation if they're not gone by then, but I'm pretty sure they will be. But that's my thoughts on it anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think it'd be quite delusional at this point to say that they not that they can't work for us, but to say that they can make us consistent winners, particularly in a market now where you're competing with Manchester City and Chelsea have just dropped several hundred million in one window, and Newcastle and United obviously like a bit of spending as well. So
Ryan's the same goes for you. Oh, hang on one second. Shay says, let's hope Nathan Collins doesn't have another masterclass.
He's a quality player, that Nathan Collins.
He is.
Quality.
But Ryan, the same goes for you, Bob. It's the last one, guys.
Yeah, I did a video on my channel the other day with Ian Young from the Redmen TV, and he was saying that from his stance, he don't give a fuck who the owners are. He's not asked in the slightest as long as the footy team is doing well, and
that's how I feel.
I get him, and I want us all to get back to that point as a fan base where who gives a flying fuck who's putting the money into the club as long as the team's doing well.
100%.
FSG have become a problem because they are now everyone's main attention. That should never, ever, ever happen. When you own a football club, you should never be the main attention. If you are the fucking showgirl, then that is a major, major issue. Whether you've meant that or not, it means you've either done something extremely wrong, which in this case, obviously, they have the past 6 months, or you're doing something extremely right, but you're parading yourself, you're making it all about you. Now, we know they've not made it all about them because they're not asked in the slightest. What they've done is the opposite side. They've not invested enough in the squad. I'm really pissed off with them now, and I know H isn't as bad as me, but deadline day really annoyed me, and I told you, Foz, in private, that when they put the statement out in November, they said they've still got the full backing of the club. They're still interested. They want to support us. It might even be minor investment. That's how much we still belong to the club. Right, sound. Show us then. Comes to the January transfer window. We all know the issues we've got. There's players out there available. It just needs a little bit of investment out of your own pocket, or even get a loan, put it onto the club debt that you then go and sell. Whatever. Just means you've got to do a little bit extra than the fuck all that you've been doing. They had the chance. They had 31 days. Didn't do shit. Brought Gakpo in on an £8 million down payment that they weren't even fucking bothered about. It was all done by, obviously more important people than them, with Julian Ward, etc., flying out into the middle of the night to get that deal done. They had a chance to show that by that statement they said they were still back in the club, and their club's interest is still at their front of their mind, and they didn't. They did not. They didn't. We didn't even explore potential loan options. And I get this in the sense of you have to have a homegrown player unless you're going to get somebody out.
Yeah.
However, I am certain that Klopp would have said to them, why don't we have a look at bringing Adrian out? We'll put Harvey Davis in as the homegrown third choice goalkeeper, and then we've got a slot for a loan player. And they will have gone, right, but then we're paying him 120 grand a week to sit out of the squad. So we're just giving him a free ride. And it's like, right, but that's what's needed because we're in a mess. No, we're not doing that. You know full well with their methods of how they do things that would have been the case. And for me, that they're starting to really, really, really tarnish their legacy that they could have left. And
on a high, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not nice. It's not nice to see. Now we all knew we outgrew FSG when we won the Champions League in 2019. That's sound. We know that. And they've put the club up for sale. And like Harley says, fair play to them for knowing that they can't take us any further on. Put their hands up, sweet. But now they're hardballing over a couple of £1 million here and there, and they're not actually got any interest to still stick by the team, and they're trying to find minor investments so someone can just fund their little MBA projects and stuff like that. Nah, they're just, for me, they're starting to really, really, really tarnish their potential legacy that they had.
Don't you think like it's always dangerous when the owners come in and they own other clubs and you're not even their priority in the first place? Like the main sole priority. That's what I mean. Sorry.
I feel like that's so commonplace in footy nowadays, though, isn't it? Like, look at how many owners.
But should Liverpool be second best to other teams or other clubs they own?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a reality. Like, the Boston Red Sox, FSG own them. But look at Todd Bowley. They own. I was on Google looking at what Todd Bowley does, and how he made his money because I was having a conversation with someone about that because I was curious myself. he owns the LA Dodgers, which I think are a baseball team. I don't follow baseball, to be honest. Gillette and Hicks, Texas Rangers. Do you know what I mean? One of them own the Texas Rangers. If we're looking at our own situation, the Glazers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? Like it's.
Listen, if you're going to be a billionaire, you're not going to be making that off one asset, are you? So you're going to have to own multiple, and it's Fenway Sports Group. So to become a billionaire owning a sports group, you can't just do it off one squad, one team.
They were New England Sports Ventures, weren't they? At one point, like it's always been what they've been about.
Yeah, and listen, and that is absolutely fine as long as you deploy the right people below you to then go and make sure that asset is doing the best it can possibly do.
The reason I'm saying that, Ryan, is because they recently paid $300 million to a baseball player, as we already know. That's what I'll come up with.
Well, that's the thing that slightly annoys me, but we have to accept it because they're American and they're from Boston, like John Henry and Thingy are from Boston, so that is their love. That's like us having the money to invest in Liverpool, basically. And even that being their own football team, their own venture, their own thing that they support, they're still penny pinching over that a little bit.
I've been told that even fucking Red Sox fans are a bit.
They got booed off the stage.
The thing is, with how expensive. Not only how expensive baseball tickets are, but if you look into how salary caps work in American sports, it basically guarantees that every club or every team in America is run in a similar way, but on a much
Moneyball
higher scale. But they don't put.
Oh, where's he gone?
Oh, he'll be getting a phone call.
Shay says, I've never seen John Henry ever showing he cares about Liverpool Football Club. Shay, I've said this to a different group in Twitter the other day. I said, what I said, Brian, is you can't make people who don't love a sport like love it, if you get what I'm saying. If this is not like, if you haven't grown up with a sport, if you haven't like
sorry boys,
it's okay, it's all good.
I had a phone call come through there.
I knew you would do.
Which is frustrating because I put my phone on do not disturb, but
it's cool, bro.
But no, I was just saying that, like, how it works. Sorry if you were on a point and I've interrupted you, but
no.
How American sports work is that because of the salary cap, which means that each team can only spend so much on player wages, and how much revenue these American leagues bring in. There's no one really invests money in. I'd probably say the only owner of an American team that I know of that does it is Steve Ballmer for the LA Clippers.
He's interested in us as well, isn't he?
Apparently he was. Apparently. I don't like. I was hearing that a couple of months ago. But
I mean, his wealth compared to the owners that he's going against is astronomical, though. Like, he's worth ridiculous amounts of money.
True, but he's asked about the LA. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's genuinely he's at the LA Clippers games every week. Like, I've got a mate who's an LA Clippers fan, and he like speaks dead highly of him. Do you know what I mean? But my point is, footy is nowhere near as profitable as thingy is, because they can actually, like the way John Henry doesn't take money out of Liverpool, but he can take money out of his other things because there's only so much you can spend anyway. Do you know what I mean?
In their sport, I think they only spend money on wages, don't they? They don't buy players. I think they trade or something along those.
Yeah, that's how it works.
I think that's how it works in their country.
Yeah, that is how it works.
So, and it's football, like you said, it's different, isn't it? You have to spend money on them, and plus, their wages on top of that, plus agent wages, their parents, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So there's a lot.
Yeah, the three ways you sign players in American sports are free agents, self-explanatory, trades. Again, self-explanatory, I think. But it's not like how it works if you do a swap deal in footy. The contract that he's on carries over to the other club.
Yeah.
And then the third way is the draft, which is where they get like kids from college, basically.
Yeah. Shay just said that, like, about John W. Henry not caring. That's what I was talking about before you left.
I've got a little point on this, Foz.
I was gonna ask you that question, Ryan. Like, in regards to like John W. Henry and American owners, like I said, you can't make people at their age love a sport they've got no affection towards. If you got what I'm saying, they see it as a business. That's how I see it when I look at American owners.
On John W. Henry, I have a bit of news on this, and I'll tell you guys behind closed doors where it comes from. I don't want to put it on the internet because it's not fair to him.
No problem,
because if he wants to put it on there, he will put it on there. However, I am extremely reliably told by someone who's met John W. Henry, but also had communications with his team, so like his people, that the club was actually bought by John W. Henry for Linda. And if you think about it and you look back at it, it's Linda who's quite active on social media and things like that when it comes to Liverpool. But long story short, John and his team used to stay at a hotel, and one of these hotel employees used to be the head of communications when it comes to John and his team and stuff like that. And they'd send over an itinerary over the week before. We'd come and say, listen, he needs his room at this temperature. He wants his bed at this height, things like that.
Yeah.
And when he arrives, his team arrive an hour before and basically brief you on what you can and can't talk to him about if you do bump into him. And one of the main things that they all get told when he comes to Liverpool is do not mention Liverpool. He hates it. He cannot stand Liverpool being mentioned. He really has no interest whatsoever.
Do you know why that is, other than the fact that he's just not asked?
What, as in, like, do I know or do you know?
Like, do you know?
Oh, the only reason I can think is that he's not that interested in football. And like Foz said before, I think it was a European football venture that they thought they'd take on to see what happens. Realised that actually football doesn't actually give you that much money, Like, it's mad how little owners make from football.
In the long term, if you sell the club, like how they go into long term.
Exactly. Now selling the club now, of course they're going to make a little bit of money. But what we also have to remember is they bought the club for 300 odd million, but they've invested a lot of money. Yes, they've got some of that back, but with COVID and things like that. So when they sell the club for 4 billion, it's not 3.5 billion pound profit. It won't even be close to that because there'll be costs that you've got to take into that. There'll be tax that you've got to pay on the final figure. There'll be loads of things. However, I think as a businessman, he's not interested because he realises it doesn't make him that much money. And I think also he's just not that interested in English sport, which is fine. That's fair enough. I'm not that asked about baseball. It is what it is. But yeah, I know it's reliable because after I got told this information, I then got sent pictures of the information in private to confirm it, kind of thing. But honestly, mate, I was absolutely flabbergasted when I got told. But then when I actually started to think about it, and you'll all do it now, those who are watching, you'll all think about it after and think, shit, it makes a lot of sense. That only ever speaks when he's in trouble. It's always the lads below him that come out and do the statements, things like that. Linda's the only one who ever puts anything on social media about the club.
Yep.
I think he done a tweet once when we won the Prem.
Oh, thanks. Thank
Yeah,
God.
Like
that'll have been Linda on his phone checking what
Probably.
birds he's DMing. You know, so it honestly it doesn't surprise me. And again, I don't think it's that big a news because realistically, what owners do give a flying fuck about the actual footy team. They're just asked about the money coming in. So I'm not that asked. However, it's just crazy to hear that you didn't even buy the club for yourself. You bought it. You bought it for your missus. It is pretty.
I'm not shocked. You know what I mean? It's American, isn't it?
Say what you want about him. At least he's romantic. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
well, actually, I get my missus a box of chocolates. He gets the Liverpool Football Club. You know, like fair fucks.
No, what I don't know.
Yeah.
Shay says John Henry was booed after saying expensive in front of fans. Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah,
talking about ticket prices, weren't it?
It's a business. It's a business for these people.
Their ticket prices are ridiculous, and let's have that right. If he could have got away with doing that here, he'd have done it.
Yeah, 110%. I mean, at the end of the day, he tried to copyright the name Liverpool, which is just so bizarre.
Yeah.
So, it says what it is.
Put people on follow, Super League, before the Leeds game.
77 quid tickets. And I tell you what, if he would have got away with that, I don't think it would have stopped at 77 quid.
No,
never.
That was the start. That was putting the feelers out.
Let's just check it out how they're going to react, innit, Ryan? That's what it is. Let's just check out
the best thing, by far the best thing about this takeover, regardless of how much money we can spend and what direction the club goes in, we just all shut the fuck up about FSG.
Exactly.
I'm
done with it.
I'm sick of it, mate. I'm sick of it.
And for me, that is the thing that motivates me.
We're forgetting about the football club, Ryan. We're forgetting about,
like I said earlier on in the show, if your owner's your main attention and it's not the lads on the pitch, I don't diss the fans. I diss the owners for making it about them. Yeah, for making it about them. Now, listen, there is certain fans out there that we know and we've spoke about that need to rein it in a little bit because they know what they're doing. However, once these Americans go, regardless of who comes in, we can just shut the fuck up about them and we can get back to supporting the fucking 11 lads on the football pitch who give us some of the best moments of our lives. Not John W. Emery, not even Jurgen Klopp to a certain extent. It's the fucking lads on the football pitch who put the ball in the back of the net and keep it out of ours, who we should be putting our full attention on. Who gives a flying fuck about some Yanks who run our football club?
I find it sad, Ryan and Harley, the way the fans react towards the players. And these are the same players that got you the Champions League. These are the same players that got you the Premier League. These are the same players that got you the World Cup.
To be honest,
the same players that got you the Super Cup. You know what I mean? The FA Cup, League Cup. All the trophies that you're bragging about right now is the same captain, same players that got you there. So when they're struggling, are you gonna personally attack them on a regular basis and feel comfortable with that? How do you think those players are gonna feel when they see things like that? I mean, I've done all this for the club. I mean, and these people are ungrateful that they say personal things about my life on social media. Well, how do you think these players are gonna feel? They're not gonna feel. They got no loyalty to the football club. They're not fans of the club. So you know what I mean. These are the performances you're gonna get.
If I buy you two a Ferrari because I'm at the peak of my game, my YouTube's going well. I've got loads of money. You've been doing it with me, and I buy you a Ferrari. But then the following year, when it comes to your birthdays, I'm not doing quite as well. I'm a bit mentally fatigued. I've not really been grinding out the videos, and I give you both a Toyota. If you two then get ungrateful because I give you the Toyota, it's you two that are the cunts, not me. Yeah. I've still give you something. Exactly. I've still give you what I can. I've give you the 100%. Best that I can. It's yous that have been ungrateful. Yeah. I'm
not trying to make this a local versus non-local or match goer versus non-match goer thing, but I'm just so glad this toxicity doesn't exist within the match goers. Do you know what I mean? Because some of the things you read on Twitter, I'm thinking, what? And then I'm just seeing the fans not act like that. It's a relief, to be honest. It's just I know it probably won't ever spill into that, but it's in the back of my mind. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just thinking,
Harley, you got to think about it. Like I said when I was speaking before, Are you only gonna support this team when they're winning? Is this your point of view? Like as a fan, like you're only gonna support them when they're winning, but when they're struggling and we've got injuries and all that stuff, we're not gonna support them. Like
people who act like that,
you got to level it out here.
Works and they don't know how life works. It's as simple as that.
It's sad, mate. I mean, like if you look at real life, do you treat your personal life like that? You know what I mean? Like when you're actively doing things, and then when you're not doing it, do you like just forget about life in general? No, you don't. Like you got to like back it up to get them back to where they were before. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. I think we don't concentrate on as Liverpool fans. I think we just give up too easily. Like it's only been what 7 months, 8 months since we competed for the quadruple. You know what I mean? People forget that. Like it's only been months. It's not years. So we can resolve this issue in the future as well. So yeah, but yeah. And
listen, Foz.
Go on.
Like I said, get on my Twitter. Get some Jamie Webster on. Chill the fuck out. Have a couple of beers. Watch the Reds. And fucking enjoy yourselves. fuck the owners. Fuck the table. Just enjoy watching the Reds. Shag your bird. Have a beer. Put some Jamie Webster Liverpool songs on, and you'll be fine.
Fuck the table. I got kicked out of IKEA for that.
Jay says, I can't wait to shut up about FSG. All of us, bro.
Shay, I love you, but I can't wait for you to shut up about FSG.
Yeah, let's close this up. Ryan.
Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I've had some DMs whilst I've been doing it, saying that a couple of people who watch us have really enjoyed it. So obviously that's great to hear. And like I said, just chill the fuck out. Fuck FSG. Fuck everything. Fuck the table. Fuck Champions League. Just have a couple of beers, watch the Reds today, and enjoy yourselves. And before you do that, subscribe to me, subscribe to Foz, follow us all on Twitter. Up the fucking Reds.
Yes, boys. As Ryan said, fuck it all. Fuck the table. Not literally. You get kicked out of IKEA. Just. This is like. Just enjoy it, do you know what I mean? And I know that's not a popular phrase, but just relax. Do you know what I mean? We'll be fine. We'll be good. We'll get past this. Up the fucking Reds. We'll get a result today. Thanks for fucking tuning in. Follow me on Twitter, has LFC97.
Big up, guys. Big up. Honestly, big up for all the people that come on the chat as well. I appreciate that. I mean, I know it's early in the morning. I feel we're going to be doing it on a regular. I think the morning ones are enjoyable. Like, I mean, we just woke up and, chatting about Liverpool, and a lot of people probably at work, or, if we do this on a regular, maybe more people will tune in, if you know what I mean. But honestly, big up to Harley, big up to Ryan for coming on as well. Please subscribe to them on Twitter and on YouTube. Everybody knows For the Reds. Ryan put some in-depth thoughts to his channel and his videos as well, so please go and support that. The more views you do on videos, the more like that videos goes around the social media, so people can see it as well. So please do that for all of us. And yeah, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you soon, everybody. Take care, man.